coaching carousel was crazy today. A lot of jobs got filled, and the Big 12 was largely unaffected. Now, I'm going to get to one major Big 12 rumor here in just a moment, but so far, despite some Matt Campbell noise at Arkansas, despite a little Kenny Dillingham noise at LSU, the Big 12 has been unaffected by the carousel. I would argue that what happened with a bunch of G5 coaches taking jobs today in the SEC, that's been a good thing for the Big 12. Hey, if they're going to go to the G5 instead of the Big 12 to take the coaches, that is good. Because guys like, Matt Campbell, Matt Campbell finished 8-4. I don't know if you guys realize, he lost basically half of his starting defense this year and still managed to find a way to finish 8-4. And, with where he has that program right now, it's sort of ho-hum for Iowa State fans, but historically, put it in context, it's a great year for them. Matt Campbell is a hell of a coach. Full stop. There's no denying that at this point. So him still being around right now, that's a very good thing. Kenny Dillingham, same deal. He went 8-4 this year. I saw, I bristled a bit. I was reading Stuart Mandel, his piece, which, look, I think he does a good job. I like reading his weekend wrap-ups, but he called it like a disappointing 8-4 season for Arizona State. And I guess going into the year, if you would have just said in a vacuum, no details about the season at all, hey, Arizona State fan, you're going to finish 8-4 this year. Yeah, an Arizona State fan would probably be like, oh, well, that's kind of disappointing. I thought we'd be back in the Big 12 championship game. But if I told you, hey, Sam Leavitt's going to miss almost half the season, you're going to have to play Jeff Sims at quarterback. He's going to start 4 games, play the majority of 5. Jordan Tyson is going to miss multiple games, and you're going to go 8-4 and be the only team to beat Texas Tech the entire season. That's a hell of a coaching job, man. Kenny Dillingham's got some real chops. And I know the LSU rumors started to pop up there for a little while. Would have been interesting, I guess, to see what happens if Lane Kiffin doesn't take that job, but he did. And so what happened after that in the SEC is this domino effect started to come cascading down. Ole Miss promoted Pete Golding, their defensive coordinator. Tulane takes John Summerall, or rather Florida takes John Summerall from Tulane. Alex Golish from USF goes to Auburn. That happened very quickly. And then Ryan Silverfield went from Memphis to Arkansas. And funny to bring up the Matt Campbell noise here. There was some smoke about that there had been conversation between Arkansas and Matt Campbell. And maybe that elevated Arkansas's expectations too much because, man, their fans melted down to the point where I was looking at video of, a group of Arkansas fans who gathered outside the football facility to protest the hire, trying to Texas A&M that thing when they wound up getting Mike Elko instead of Mark Stoops, which was funny. That actually did work for Texas A&M. Arkansas, my question to Arkansas fans would be who do you think you are? Ryan Silverfield seems fine as a hire at Arkansas. That was a crazy one to me. And then, by the way, Michigan State fired and then hired a coach today. They got rid of Jonathan Smith after only 2 years and then hired Pat Fitzgerald, the former Northwestern coach. So that's a job. Michigan State, right in the footprint of Chris Klieman, Matt Campbell, Lance Leipold, a lot of these Big 12 coaches that are kind of in that upper Midwest sort of footprint with their roots. That's a job that I would have thought maybe there's some interest there, but they clearly had something lined up with Pat Fitzgerald to go hire there. So if you're looking, it's promote from within, G5, guy that didn't have a job. That's where the major coaching carousel dominoes have fallen so far, which is a good thing. If you are a Big 12 fan, you do not want one of these coaches leaving the league, even if, I emphasize the point on Matt Campbell and Kenny Dillingham because I think it's easy when it's not the sexiest of years for their programs based on what they did last year, that they are still really good coaches, and it's important for the Big 12 to be able to keep them around. That is a very good thing. And if you're an Arizona State fan, I think this is something you need to see too from Kenny Dillingham. Man, Kenny Dillingham tweeted and then deleted this, but obviously people are taking this to be in relation to the Lane Kiffin situation. Kenny Dillingham quotes Denzel Washington, who said, "Beware of destination addiction. The idea that happiness is the next place, the next job, or even with the next partner. Until you give up the idea that happiness is somewhere else, it will never be where you are." Hashtag be a good person. Hashtag make good decisions. Hashtag have more fun working harder than anyone in the country. Hashtag lifers. Wow. Quite a quote from Kenny Dillingham there. Now, I guess, like I say, it sure seems like that's somewhat pointed toward the situation that was going on with Lane Kiffin and or the speculation about Kenny Dillingham and LSU, or just Kenny Dillingham taking a different job in general. And I would take this to be a good sign if Dillingham, I know it was deleted, but maybe this was Dillingham kind of signaling this for himself. And then people were like, hey, people are going to take this as a shot at Lane Kiffin. Maybe you should chill out on this. So, because I saw some of the comments already were like LSU fans were like, oh, well, you were trying to get the job and you weren't good enough, blah, blah, blah. So maybe that's some of what happened here. But if I'm an ASU fan, I'm looking at that like, hey, man, this guy seems like he's pretty committed. Matt Campbell and Kenny Dillingham, they don't all come like that, right? Ask an Arizona fan who dealt with Jed Fish, right? Job hopping Jed. That's a guy who wants to move around quite a bit. It's a guy who's probably disappointed that John Summerall got the Florida job. Sometimes you're going to get a guy like that. Sometimes you'll get a guy. Now, Kenny Dillingham, I know, has the pull of being an alum there, but Matt Campbell, somebody that's stuck around Iowa State for a very, very long time. We're coming up on a decade at Iowa State. So positive things, I would say, for the Big 12 there. Positive things on the coaching carousel. Now, what might be not so positive? We shall see.